Eddie?
Is it for a particular kind of art or just art in general?
I'm more interested in graphic design.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right now, painting.
Painting?
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably like to see it.
Mine's more art in general. I'm not entirely sure which kind of direction I want to take.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to start with the question?
What exactly is bubble art?
So positive. So it really is, you know, I mean, art is going to be a reflection of you to some extent, right? So I think that's probably really, I mean, maybe, you know, sort of started off as, oh, you know, I want to do something that makes me feel good and happy, but really then it just developed into really more of a reflection of, you know, her personality. And I did sort of a little bit more of the technical side of getting the, you know, figuring out some of the software because it's digital art, some of the graphic tools and figuring out how to get it, you know, on a website, and things like that.
Because the first drawings were all done by hand. So I was
Yeah.
using a lot of pencil on paper. And then we didn't know which software to use. We hadn't known about Illustrator yet, so we were putting this stuff in Photoshop, which isn't the right tool for what we're doing. And so, I mean, it was a learning experience, but all the designs originally were by hand.
Yeah, and then they were scanned in and colored and kind of went from there.
Was that painting the one you showed? The one for the background? Is that a painting?
The one that we just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that.
no, it's not a painting.
It's not a
actually.
painting.
It's a print. So it was, you know, the image was created with a Wacom tablet in Illustrator. So it's graphic art, digital art, created in the computer, colored there. And then the image is taken and printed on on canvas by, you know, it's a commercial printer. So, yeah, if we were to paint that, it would be, I mean, if you look at it, you look at the circles, how perfect they are. I mean, they're perfect, you know. So, I mean, we've actually had people say, wow, how did, because they thought it was a painting, you know, how did you guys get that so perfect? Did you use tape, or how did you get the circles? You know, it's impossible, I don't think.
Yeah.
So what kind of school did you guys go to? Did you go to school for art before you started your business, or?
School's been mainly community college classes. We took a lot of classes in community college.
At Foothill.
At Foothill College.
Community College.
Drawing, mainly drawing, painting, drawing and painting. And then, so that was going on about the same time we were starting the bubble art, right? Yeah. So really no, you know, formal training per se, just kind of came up and we figured out the tools and figured out what, you know, as we went, figured out what we needed to do. But yeah, but those community college classes were great. That was really, you know, the main thing for us to just practice with drawing and painting, you know, things like that. Color, took some color theory classes.
Yes, that was very good. The
Yeah.
color theory, yes.
Did you ever think when you were younger that you would be an artist when you grew up?
I thought photography. I really loved photography when I was in high school. I thought that was the cat's meow. That's what I was going to do with my life. But you know, I ended up going into engineering, so it didn't really go that way. But so I didn't plan on doing anything that I'm doing now, painting. So I'm spending a lot of time out painting. I didn't plan on doing any of that.
Well, when I was in high school, I did take some art classes, and I actually had my portfolio. I put my portfolio together, and I was going to apply to art school, and then I changed my mind. So, and I didn't go. I mean, I didn't even apply, and then I ended up going to Boston University and majored in psychology. But, you know, I had an ability to draw at that point, and I had taken some art classes, and I was going to go down that path. But, yeah. So it's funny that it came 25 years later, you know.
The idea just came to you, just like, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it's really fun.
What do you base your art around? Like, do you just anything that you find and you like, oh, I want to make that into bubble art, or do you have some sort of basis in which you make it into?
Well, one thing I know that when we started bubble art and I started looking, you know, I started doing these designs, I did look at the world a little differently. I was entertained by looking around and seeing different things. And one of the things is Wendy and I are scuba divers. And
This is a
we
big
would take,
inspiration
this
for
is a
it, yeah.
very big inspiration for the bubble art. We take dive trips every year and go to these wonderful places. And then Wendy started doing the photography. And, you know, she started out with a small camera, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now she's got this camera that we call the Beast. It's got these huge strobes, and it's huge, right? An underwater casing. Anyway, started taking these wonderful photographs. So after we get back from the dive trips, we would, you know, revel in these beautiful photographs. And then it's bubble art, very circular. Fish are like a perfect subject for bubble art. Because they're small and roundish, you know, so I just started playing around with, you know, the fish. That was the first.
Yeah, I mean,
the
you
first
really
designs,
draw,
set
you
of
really
designs.
draw from what you're exposed to, what you see, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you take things that you're, and we had a lot of scuba diving going on at the time, and a lot of fish in our face.
And they're very fast,
So-
and there's a lot of energy. When you're diving, you're going up to a coral head, and the fish are just screaming, you know, all over the place.
It
You
really
know?
could have been anything,
It was
when
so
you think about it. We did a lot of fish, and then
Yeah.
we've done some birds, a lot of some, you know, some bird stuff.
Yep.
But anything that you're sort of really, you know, I guess if we were, you know, let's think, if we were world travelers or something, you know, not necessarily scuba diving, but, you know, maybe we would have done things at various locations, you know, like buildings or, you know, or monument, I don't know, you know, there's very things, and very, you know, depends on, I think, what's your focus. And our focus at the time when we started Bubble Art, at least, was scuba diving, and that's when a lot of the fish came out of it.
Yeah.
And we got the music pieces too, and, you know, sort of variety, we tried to create variety. The piece that we had earlier, there was a bunch of musical instruments. I don't know if you
I'll
had time to
tell
look at
you,
it.
the inspiration for that one was a friend. It was their birthday, and we were coming up with a piece, and they were into music.
Yeah.
So yes, a lot of the inspirations came from what we observed out in the world, you know, friends, what their desires were, that they were preparing, you know, creating a gift for them. I mean, it's very pragmatic, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the books. It kind of it went from these designs printed on canvas for decorations in your home to then, you know, writing these lyrical rhymes and making cards. And then from there, it went to, you know, book
So progressive.
format. It progressed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you have to figure out what form you want to have it in. Do you want to just print it out on the canvas like we were doing and have them for decorations? And then I thought, wow, these are perfect for digital books. You know, digital art, so, you know, the medium, you sort of figure that out as you go. But, yeah.
So with the digital, so you weren't all that experienced in digital art when you first started, so you kind of like just learned how to go with it when you started your art?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
we didn't even know how to use Illustrator, which, you know, we're digital art. I did Photoshop a little bit, but not really Illustrator. And we learned that. We learned InDesign for books. What other software did we learn? We had to learn how to, you know, color match with printers and that.
Yes.
So there was a lot of sort of technical stuff that we had to, more so than art stuff, I think, at least a lot for me in that way. Christine did more of the art stuff, I did more of the technical stuff, but it's a lot of that to be learned, you know, to learn how to do.
What was the hardest part of all this? Like, what's the hardest part? You said you almost gave up on this.
Geez,
Well,
let's see.
I could say one thing, it's like we started doing these art festivals, and, you know, it was right around the time when the economy kind of was taking a tank a little bit, and so, I mean, a couple of the art festivals that we did, it was very busy, and it was a lot of people coming to the booth, it was great, it was fun, just being able to talk. And then, you know, talk about what we're doing and sharing the art, and what really made me very happy was when we would be sitting in the booth, and somebody would just like walk by, and they would look at the booth, they'd look at the banner, they'd look at the art, and they'd smile. And I was just like, it made me so fired up just to see how it affected people in that way. But then there were some art festivals that was kind of like slow, and there wasn't a lot going on, and so.
Yeah, it was a little challenging just with that, but we had our day jobs, you know what I mean? So we didn't feel that
There wasn't a pressure.
There can be a pressure, you know, if you're doing art and, you know, it can be cyclical with, you know, income in that, if you're dependent on it, if you're living in that. And we weren't, so we had our day jobs, and so, you know, we found, you know, we were selling it, we were doing it as commercial art, we're selling it at festivals and things, but we were just like, yeah, fine, we learned quickly that we're not gonna really worry about how much we sell. This was kind of fun just to see
Yes.
people's reactions and see what kind of response we get, and so we kind of focused on that. So I don't really know if we had a sort of a, you know, a point where we reached where we're like, oh, you know, this is so hard, let's keep going. You know what I mean? It wasn't, we didn't really have a struggle, too much of a struggle with it.
And that's because we were doing it for fun,
Yeah,
really.
maybe
We
that's
weren't
why.
doing it to make a living out of it, we're just doing it for fun.
And what jobs do you have outside of art?
Yeah,
Okay.
I work at an engineering company in Silicon Valley, so, yeah.
And I'm so different, right?
It's
Than
really
art.
not, yeah, it's really not.
And I'm in human resources for a hospital in Marin.
Yeah, so, it's not really
And
art
that's-
related.
And that's what allows us to do this on the side, right? We have our jobs.
So, obviously you have your real job, but you kind of think of this art thing as not more of a job, but more as like, it's just something fun that you want to do. So like,
Yeah.
just basically, but you still do it, that's the whole thing, and you make
Yes.
somewhat of a profit on it, but it's mostly about doing stuff that makes you happy, so this makes you
Yes.
happy.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that is completely just all double A's.
Yes.
I mean, it's
It
just, you know,
Yep.
we don't really care about the rest of it, you know, in terms of the business side so much. I mean, we do, but we don't, you know what I mean? We're doing it anyway, so.
We're doing it to enjoy it.
And really, it was fun to do the art festivals, to share it with people, to get feedback, to get, you know,
Yeah.
we got some really positive feedback. I mean, it really made people happy. I mean, it
It
what
did
joy
what
that is.
we intended it. I mean, not
Yeah.
exactly what we intended, because you never know.
Yeah.
But, you know, we wanted to make this art that was, you know, just bubbly and happy, and it had that effect, and that was really, you didn't know if it would be, you know, something that makes Christine happy, or if it makes me happy doing it, doesn't mean
Yeah.
somebody seeing it's gonna have any reaction like that, and they did, so it was really nice to see, and for the most part, that's kind of the reaction we get from people, so.
I think that's great that you actually got a reaction out of doing your art. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really see, I mean, I do go to some festivals sometimes, but I don't really see people giving that much attention to the art.
Mhm.
So it's nice to actually know that they do, and they
Yes.
have, it affects them in some way.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, yes.
yeah, we definitely saw that.
Yes.
I think that was the biggest thing that we
It
got from
was.
when we were spending our time doing the festivals. Is,
Yeah.
I mean, people, they didn't have to buy it. They would just come into our booth and they'd ask us questions like, did you guys paint this? Or how did you do this? And they
Yeah,
just would tell us, oh, it was really fun. Or sometimes we'd just be sitting there and a couple of guys, you know, really cool guys walking by. And they don't laugh, you know, they're like, it's goofy.
Yeah.
You know, because they're cool, this is kind of goofy, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, hey, check that out, that's cool, like a piece, one of the bubble art, one of the bubble music pieces.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
really cool, and they liked the colors and the way we did it. So it was really neat to see different reactions too,
Yeah.
of different kinds of people, so we got a lot of that feedback, it was really neat. Yeah. I don't think we ever had anybody tell us they didn't really like it. Maybe I'm sad. Depress them for 3 days. Those happy colors are making it work for me. I mean, you know, I guess the only thing I can say there is, we did have some people say, wow, you know, it's a lot of colors for my living room wall or for my house.
Yeah.
It's too bright, you know.
And very busy, you know?
Some people
Yeah.
are more, you know, more, just different things. But
Yeah.
a lot of kids like it, because it's, you know, like, a lot of
Oh,
parents
yes.
are buying for their kids' playrooms and things. Like,
Yes.
we had a big
Yes. it's
big
great.
bubble fish piece.
Yep.
It was really bright, you know.
It was like 6 foot by 3 foot.
yeah, it was
I mean,
really bubble
big.
fish in your face.
Yeah.
And, you know,
And that was before we took the color class.
Really?
I kind of think of it.
just like the things that class. A little bit too much saturation, maybe.
Yeah, it was a little chromatic. But anyway.
But anyway, it was perfect for their kids. They had a couple kids and they wanted it for their playroom. It was just like perfect for those folks. So that was kind of neat.
And it's kind of neat knowing that right now there are bubble fish hanging on the wall in like maybe about 5 houses.
At least,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, because there's big pieces, I'm talking about the big
Oh,
pieces.
big ones.
Yeah, I'm talking about the big.
Yeah,
But yeah, we did sell a bunch of these 12 by 24 bubble fish, so yeah.
yeah.
Actually,
Music was
yeah.
very popular too.
Yeah.
Pieces, yeah.
So that's cool.
You guys, my bad. You guys do painting as well, right? Like you do paint at sometimes.
Yes, we do. On the painting side, it's like I'm experimenting with the bubble art pieces, and kind of Wendy's kind of taking like her, like another path with the painting, doing some of her photorealistic paintings.
Yeah, the bubble art morphed. Well, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
good start in art. I mean, I liked
Yes.
doing the rhymes too. I really liked to write.
Yeah.
So the writing was really fun for me. And then, you know, and the photography part was pretty cool. I mean, just for the fish that we based some of, you know,
Yeah.
some of the bubble fish from some of the photographs. And then it just sort of morphed into paintings. I started doing some fish paintings and did a whole set of those just to teach myself how to use paint. And then it sort of is, I'm working on another project now that's nothing to do with fish. It's more, you know, more abstract kind of conceptual art. So it really has, for me, developed over the course of the time. You know, I mean, I just kind of kept going with what felt right. It has changed a lot. Into, you know, doing painting almost every day now. Almost every day. I try to. Time-wise, it's hard. But, you know, I really try to get, you know, a couple hours in at least if I can before work or whatever. But yeah. So it's a you know, it's definitely a big part of time
Yes,
wise in our lives.
it is.
Yeah.
So while she's painting, I'm designing on the Illustrator, still with the bubble art design, so that we can still kind of, you know,
Yeah.
like right now we have a birds book that's kind of in the works. It's been in the works for a while. Wendy's written about pretty much all the rhymes so far, about 10 rhymes for 10 different birds, and I'm working on the designs. They're not finished yet, but once I finish them, then we can put another book together
Another book.
on the iBookstore.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of just quitting your day jobs and jumping right into art full time?
No. I mean,
Well,
Yes and
actually, we kind of thought about going back to school.
oh yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah.
thought we were gonna
That's true. That's
We're gonna go back to school for art, and then we changed our mind. We just decided, that's okay. I think for us, since we already have like the ideas of what we wanna work on, art school really isn't necessary for us. I think for people who wanna get into art, you know, and wanna explore, art school's terrific. But for us,
You know, quitting your job and doing your art, it's tough. It's
It
a
is
tough
tough.
life
It's
unless
tough.
you are, you know, you've got some means of income to live on. It's not an easy path. I don't know, people have a really hard time to do it that way. And I think personally, it puts a lot of pressure on your art, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's really nice about this is that, you know, especially with the bubble art and the way we did it,
Yes.
there was, you know, we could just do it or we wanted. You know, because it made us happy doing it that way. And it,
Yes.
you know, it's not like it's, you know, controversial art or anything, and so we had to maintain, you know, our voice with it. We just wanted to do the bubble art, you know. But, you know, we don't, when you need it, you know, for a living, then it, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to. I mean, you've seen, you know, some artists that have done that, they've become great successes, and you're like, wow, if they didn't put that pressure on themselves, would they have achieved that? I don't know. But then again, you also see people that really struggle, and it's a lot of pressure on their art, and, you know, we didn't need to do that. At some point, if we wanted to market it more and do more of that stuff, it started to really sort of take a life maybe of its own a little bit more.
Yes.
We were really wanting to do that. That would be fun. It's not that I wouldn't want to do that, you know, be opposed to sort of weaning off the engineering and getting into that. I'd love to do that, but I don't know if it's really ready yet to do that.
Would you say one of those lines that you say you put in the box? I'm curious to what it says.
Sure, Christina's
Oh.
got a...
Okay, so here's a rhyme. Sea turtle. All the world's oceans house them, only the Arctic lacks. Of 7 living species, only one has no hard shell, the leatherback. Sea turtles are identified by the signature of their shell. Where 50 bones are located, their many years of life do tell. With diets that include jellyfish, their salt intake is quite high. They have sweat glands in their eyes to cry out the brine. Sea turtles spend their lives in the ocean out to sea, but they must come up to the surface to get air to breathe. In order to dig nests, females come onto the beach and use their hind flippers to sweep out a hole almost 2 feet deep. She then starts filling the nest she dug with her blades. All in all, she ends up laying around 50 to 200 eggs. The nest is then filled with sand and smoothed over. After about an hour, she returns to the ocean, nearly a new mother. 2 months later, the eggs will begin to hatch, and 2 to 3 days more, little hatchlings crawl out in small mass. They know just where to go. The horizon guides them at night. During the nesting season, beach residents are asked to turn off their lights. More than 200 million years, turtles have been here on Earth, yet all species of sea turtles today are threatened or endangered from birth.
So they're educational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it has good info about it,
Yeah,
but
they
it has
were-
a good rhyme too,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's, yeah. So they're, this is kind of a nice one, too, it's a shorter one. Want to read that one too?
You want you read that?
Okay. I just make her read it. This is called Seahorse. Under a full moon with dance and the utter of musical sound, seahorses will prance in courtship for 9 nocturnal hours. A seahorse is a fish, so goes the chatter, complete with gills, fins, and even a swim bladder. With a head like a horse and a tail like a monkey, you can say, of course, that it looks kind of funky. A brood pouch at its belly and a kangaroo-like segment, where females place their eggs and males become pregnant. Each eye can move independent of the other, just like a chameleon does, to help them keep under cover. They like to swim in pairs, linked by their tails. They're loyal and mate for life, just like killer whales. So, these are fun.
So fun. Just doing this interview is inspiring us more.
So you do have friends that would occasionally give you an idea, like they would want to see in the bubble art.
Oh,
Yeah, like we had, when we had a couple of music pieces that we had, you know, up at our festivals, like here's one, right? Bubble music. And then a guy came in, he said, oh, I really like the music stuff, I'm a musician, I'm really into this and that and the other thing, blah, 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 and he's looking at the piece. And he's like, oh, I see a guitar in there, I see, you know, musical notes, I see piano keys. But, you know, I don't see a, you know, I don't see a trombone, or I don't see a French horn. And there was some instruments that he liked, and he said, it'd be really neat to have one that had some of these other instruments. So, you know, we did this new card that had some of those instruments that he wanted to see. So I thought, oh, that's great. So, you know, people tell us, you know, some things, and then we create some more stuff on that. So we've done a lot of that kind of thing too.
And, you know, I just started this new job, in human resources, and my boss, actually, I shared with him the bubble art, and he was just tickled pink. When he was like, he sent us a really nice email.
It's really
And he was telling me, he's like, astrology. You know, he gave me the idea of maybe we'll, you know, do the astrology signs, the zodiac. You never know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And people are like, oh, you know, my pets, do dogs.
Oh,
I want to see them dogs.
Yeah.
You know, poodles, I love poodles. So people, you know, they all want to say, do this, do that. You know, they all have their ideas, which is great because, you know, we actually were able to do
art
some.
with.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
It's
we're
fun.
on. Right, that's right.
Exactly.
Have you ever thought like doing a calendar with a bubble art?
Calendar's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We haven't done that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have.
that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, like a music for, or just a mix, maybe a mix or something.
Maybe a mix of everything.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
That'd
neat.
be fun.
I mean, yeah, it's like,
astrological for the calendar.
yeah,
Yeah, totally, yeah.
I mean, you know, thinking about what kind of, I mean, it's images, right? You know, what do you put it on? Do you put it on a card or a calendar or a t-shirt or you know, mugs or a puzzle? I mean, so it sort of got us thinking about all these things to get printed on that people could then use, like coasters even, just to have, you know, around the house, or, you know, that people would just use in their everyday lives, but also have the art there too, you know.
Representation.
Yeah. So,
Also get your art out there too.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
calendar's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
Zodiac.
Zodiac.
Like, calendar.
Enemy number 2, no.
Do you have any more questions?
What do you recommend us? Like for us, we're young, so we still have no idea what to do, and we're kind of going on the path of art.
Yeah.
What do you think, to keep it like a side like you, or to go for it and have it for a life?
Yeah, that's a tough question. You have to be able to have room, here's what I would say, you have to be able to have room to experiment and explore, especially when you're just starting and you're young with it and unless you know exactly, I love this thing and I'm really good at it and I know that already and I'm 15 years old and I know all that already. You already know that. Madonna, maybe she knew all this when she was 15 and she just needed to find the stage. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? You have to have room to experiment. And experiment isn't going to always turn in immediate profit for you, so if you're 20 years old or whatever and you're paying your rent or you're doing your thing, you need to have the cash, you might not feel as much room to experiment. You might not have that flexibility. So in that sense, I would say, try to keep it maybe not as I don't mean just a hobby, but just as an aside. You can have a balance. You can have you can multitask your life to some extent. You can have your art and be doing it. You can earn your living somehow, and then you can try to make them come together. But I would say early on, you're young, you're just getting into it now. You want to be able to you get things, you get ideas, you get with, just play with paint or play with whatever, medium or whatever. Just give yourself an opportunity to experiment and make mistakes. And, try things that you wouldn't, like why not? Because you never know what you're going to find. You just don't, sometimes you could discover something you would never have thought of, and you don't love doing that, so.
And always have a sketchbook with you. I think, just take a sketchbook with
Yeah.
you everywhere.
Yeah.
Just
You never know, you
keep
see
drawing.
something.
That's
Yeah.
one thing I have to say, we did do one semester at art school over at CCA, and, we learned that, you just have to do it, just do it, keep doing it, keep drawing, keep, especially, just draw, paint. I mean, what did our painting teacher tell us?
I had lots of discussions with my painting teacher about, how do you be a painter, how do you be an artist as a painter, how do you do, he's like, forget all that. You just need to paint.
Just
There's
lock yourself in a room
there's no
and
magic
paint.
trick, you just need to paint. In other words, you just need to put the time in. You've got to put a lot of time in and not expect it to do, you got to enjoy it because you're going to have to put a lot of time into it. So you got to like it, otherwise you're not going to want to do it, right? So I know when people say, you gotta be passionate about something, I think it's because you're gonna put a lot of time into it. So if you're not passionate about it, you're not gonna put the time in, and you won't get good. You won't get good at it if you don't put the time into it.
And we have a friend Tamara who is
You want to be
an
good.
illustrator.
You want to be good at it. You don't want to just do kind of mediocre stuff, right?
That's okay.
You gotta be good. You want to develop your ability. You want it to grow and improve and be good. You want to develop your skills and have a really good skill set. I'm really, really want to emphasize that. So you need time. You need to put the time in and the work in, because it will definitely show, and people will enjoy it a lot more. It's not,
So that's why schooling is very good.
Mhm.
I mean, these
It's
little
discipline.
classes that we took
Yeah.
were very good. I mean,
Practice,
I have to say, when I was younger, I drew, I took art classes, I was going to go to art school. Wendy never drew in her life, and all of a sudden we're taking art classes, and now she's painting these beautiful paintings. She tapped into something
Yeah.
that she didn't even know, that she really didn't think she knew how to, that
I had
she
some
could draw.
ideas, and I would run up to people, when I'd run into somebody that I knew that could draw. I'd be like, hey, could you draw this for me? Because I got this great idea. Can you put a fish in there, and then do this and do that and do that? Because it's like I can't draw. And then, really, when I sat down and when we took some of these classes, just the basics of,
Perspective and shading and all that.
Anyway, you guys probably already know this about yourselves, but I didn't at the time, and I discovered I could draw. I could draw actually pretty well. Who knew? And I was adamant that I could never draw. Really, it was amazing. I showed
It
some
really is
people
amazing.
what I drew in the course of a couple of years when I was first starting. They're like, you drew these? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wow, you can totally draw. I'm like, yeah, I know, I can draw. I never had any know, I could do other things, but drawing, forget it, you know? So, yeah.
And back to developing the skills, we have a friend that is at CCA, she is studying illustration. And I know that her teachers are telling her, because her career that she wants to go into is illustration. She wants to illustrate, and they tell her, draw everything that you see.
Yeah.
Buildings, people, you know, everything, animals. She actually, I don't know, about 6 months ago, she invited us to go to the zoo. That's what she was doing. She was going there to sketch with her sketchbook.
And it
So,
doesn't matter what
you
you're
know,
doing. Right now, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have some great subject, unless if you have it, great, do it.
Yeah,
But you don't have to, just draw anything.
yep,
You
drawing
know, and
things.
that's kind of why I did the fish pieces,
Yeah.
because my art teacher's like, just forget about it, don't worry about your subject, just pick something. You know, that and just do it to give yourself practice. So practice, I think the idea of that is, having a sketchbook with you all the time and just drawing whatever is whatever your art is, just give yourself as much practice as you possibly can,
Yes.
because you learn, you start to, you see a change, it grows, it changes, and you start to see yourself more as you do it.
Mhm.
And like anything else, you get good at it when you do it more.
Mhm.
You want to be good, right? So you gotta work, you gotta do the work.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, it really is
Exactly.
true.
It is
Gotta put
true.
the hours in,
Yep, put the hours in.
So do something you like, because you're gonna be putting, you spend a lot of time with it,
Yes.